welcome back to American Agenda. I'm Heather Childers along with Bob Sellers. The $1.9 trillion COVID relief package, otherwise known as Biden's American Rescue Plan, has passed the House of Representatives, sparking debate over what exactly is in this massive package. Many Republicans believe that it is a pork-stuffed wish list that is being pushed through Congress, where Democrats have the majority. And joining us now to discuss is Budget Fellow for the Heritage Foundation, Joel Griffith. Thank you so much for joining us, Joel. We appreciate it. There's a lot to get through in this, and a lot of spending. Specifically, one of your areas of concern is the amount of money that's going towards transportation, when this was originally supposed to be a COVID relief bill.
Yeah, that's right. There's hundreds of billions of dollars in this bill that goes to transportation programs, but it's not the freeways so much. It's actually a majority of that spending goes to mass transit programs in places like Chicago and New York City, cities that are notorious for having badly mismanaged public transportation and overpaid public sector union employees. So to give you an idea what this looks like, more than half of the funds in the transit component go to those mass transit programs. And of course, only about 5% of American workers actually use mass transit to go to work. The amount of money that's being given places like New York City actually covers more than half of the operating costs in a given year for their systems. It's not right to make people in Manhattan, Kansas pay for Manhattan, New York City.
Yeah, give us some more things that bug you.
Oh, well, if you look at the amount of money going to just cities and states in general under the guise of helping relieve the revenue crunch, well, the secret is year over year, state and local government revenue is actually up. What this really amounts to is just a giveaway to a number of failed states like California and Illinois trying to take pressure off of their politicians. You know, if you travel this country, you'll see that many parts of this country, the economies now are bigger now than they were before the pandemic. Places like Utah and Georgia that have reopened. It's places like Chicago, New York City, and LA that remain mired in deep recession. And that's not because of COVID. That's because the governors and mayors won't allow the businesses to operate. They won't allow people to re-enter society.
And explain to folks how that is that this bill rewards that type of behavior and rewards those states versus the states that did open up.
Well, when you see the billions of dollars that are flooding to California, for instance, that's the state that has badly mismanaged taxpayer resources for years. What this will do is it's going to go ahead and take money from people in North Carolina and Florida and Tennessee, states that have actually done a lot of great work in reforming the government systems. It's going to force those taxpayers to basically hand over their hard-earned money to the public sector unions in places like California that are making life there unbearable. This is not about COVID relief. Once again, states and local governments are actually seeing an increase in tax revenue year over year. This is a bailout for failed big governments in places like Illinois and California.
Yeah, almost $2 trillion, which, by the way, folks, we don't have it. We're going to have to borrow it in some way. But, Joel, why do you think this bill is popular? Because all of the polls show that it's popular.
Well, I think that many people actually haven't read the details. Of course, most people are busy raising their families and going to work, trying to make ends meet. My job is to read that fine print, and I'm telling you what's in that fine print. You're talking about nearly $2 trillion of additional spending. We are saddling future generations with enormous debt. We are paying people bonuses, people that we were looking at for instance, the unemployment component. We want to help people that are unemployed. But the federal bonus that's now tacked on to state unemployment benefits to this would mean that many, many people will earn more off the job than on the job. That's bad for our economy. That's also bad for the people that end up not working because the benefits are so high, because that's going to diminish the amount of experience they have. We've taken on trillions of dollars of debt over the last year. We've printed trillions of dollars worth of money, and we are going to pay for that either through higher inflation, slower growth, or tax hikes, not just on the wealthy, but the middle class as well.
So what happens to this next in terms of the process?
Well, it still has to make it through the Senate. Once it does that, the president does appear that he will sign this legislation. So if you're concerned about what you see in this, call your representative. Let them know the components that concern you most. The bottom line is less than 10% of this $2 trillion actually is in any way related to COVID relief. The vast majority, more than 9 out of $10, is just a cash infusion on the backs of our future generations to bail out big governments in a number of failed states.
Yeah, we got to pay for it eventually. Thank you so much, Joel.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching the Heritage Foundation's YouTube channel. With more than 500,000 members, we are the nation's largest conservative research and education institution. We believe the principles and ideas of the American founding are worth conserving and renewing. Please help us further our mission by subscribing to this channel and sharing our videos with your family and friends.